Hola amigos, ¿cómo están? I hope everybody's doing well. Welcome back to another lesson of the Language Tutor Spanish. Well guys, I have an interesting lesson for you today, all right? It's relatively short, but the reason I say that this lesson is interesting is because it's going to apply to some of you, and to some of you it probably won't. It depends on who you are and your ambitions and your interests, things like that. This tense that we're going to cover is the last major tense that I'm going to have to cover, and we will have done all the major tenses. But it's kind of like the vosotros form. You know, the vosotros form is used primarily in Spain, and so it's one of those things like some of you use it and some of you don't really need it. But I know we do have viewers that go to Spain. I get emails and they're talking about being in Spain, and you know, I just got an email the other day from somebody that says, hey, we're moving to Spain. And so it is going to be relevant to some people, but to others, they may not use the vosotros form as much. This tense that I'm going to teach you today is kind of like that. Some of you will find it useful, some of you may not, okay? But again, this is the last major tense that we need to cover in Spanish, and that's really cool to know that we've covered them all. So this is called the past anterior. Okay, and you've seen different names for it. You'll see different websites call it different things. But the pretérito anterior, or the past anterior. So this happened in the past. And I want to go ahead and tell you, we really already covered what this is in English, okay? This is like the past perfect indicative. There we go. Where we said things like, we had already eaten, they had worked all day, things like that. Something had gone on or had happened or had been done. So that's really what this is. But the difference is, this tense is really, you only use it with other phrases, okay? So there's sort of a phrase that goes along with it, all right? And I'm going to give you some examples in just a second. I also want to tell you that this tense is used, it's not used a lot in speaking Spanish conversationally, in everyday conversation. This is primarily a tense that is used in literature. It's in written form, formal writing, things like that. So, and by the way, while we're talking about literature, literature is a great way to pick up structures and increase your comprehension skills. So if you can pick up some good books in Spanish, some stories, and start trying to read through those, it'll be slow going at first, but you'll find it gets easier and easier. In college, we read 20, 30 pages a night in old Spanish, and let me tell you how much I learned through just reading literature. Okay, so you will see this in literature, and I just want to cover it because I believe it's going to be beneficial to some of you, okay? So here's how we do the past anterior. I'm going to give you some examples to begin with. Remember, this goes with another phrase. So a lot of times we're going to say like, after doing something, this had happened, or that happened after this had happened. You might use it with the word when, cuando. I'll just give you some examples. You see what I'm talking about. So here's one in English. When she had finished the song, the crowd began to applaud. Okay, so you see, we're using it with another tense. All right, and really, we talked about this when we did the past perfect indicative. But again, this is mainly in literature, so you will see this. Okay, so when she had finished the song, the crowd began to applaud. Here's another example. After we had eaten, we fell asleep. Okay, after this had happened, that happened. And it could be flipped. This happened after this had happened. So it just depends on the sentence. As soon as he had arrived, they began the meeting. There's an example, okay? Now let me show you how to do this. First of all we have to do, you remember when we did the past perfect indicative, we used the verb haber in the conditional tense, no, the imperfect tense. We said había, habías, etc. Okay, all we really need to do is change that to this. I'm going to put the chart up, and I'm going to show you the forms of haber that go with this particular tense, the past anterior. So we're going to use ube in the top left, H-U-B-E, okay? And then the tu form, you're probably already getting these down. I bet it's ubiste. Well, you're right. So it's ubiste. And then in the bottom left, it's ubo, H-U-B-O. In the top right, we have ubimos, H-U-B-I-M-O-S. Same pattern we're always following here. And if we take the tu form, ubiste, move it over, add an is, ubistes. And then the bottom right is hubieron. Okay. All we got to do now is put the past participle in. And we're, like I say, we're doing this just like the past perfect indicative, just changing había to ube or whatever. Okay, so let's do some examples of how you might see this written. Okay, so let's go back to that example. When she had finished the song, the crowd began to applaud. Okay, here it is in Spanish. Cuando hubo terminado la canción, la multitud comenzó a aplaudir. Okay, one more time all together. Cuando hubo terminado la canción, la multitud comenzó a aplaudir. All right, and yes, you could have put ella in there before hubo if you wanted to clarify who you're talking about specifically. All right, let's do another one. After we had eaten, we fell asleep. Remember, we say to fall asleep by using dormir in the past tense with a reflexive pronoun with that makes it fall asleep. So dormir is to sleep, like I slept all night. Dormirse, to fall asleep. So let's put that into context. So after we had eaten, we fell asleep. All right. Después de que hubimos comido, nos dormimos. Después de que hubimos comido, nos dormimos. All right, now let's look at that other example really quick. As soon as he had arrived, they began the meeting. All right, as soon as they arrived, they began the meeting. So as soon as is tan pronto como. So tan pronto como hubo llegado, comenzaron la reunión. All right, tan pronto como hubo llegado, comenzaron la reunión. And guys, that's how we do the past anterior. So I think some of you are going to find that useful when you're reading or studying literature or whatever in Spanish. If you're getting your degree in Spanish, it definitely will be useful to you because you will be reading lots of Spanish in literature, okay? Well, guys, keep practicing this. Try to bring this into conversation just to get it down. Obviously, you won't be using it in conversation as much, but it's good to know it, all right? So practice, practice, practice. If you want to contact me, shoot me an email, dannyevans3371@gmail.com. I can't wait to hear from you. I'll see you next time on the Language Tutor Spanish. Hasta pronto. Friends, thanks for watching the Language Tutor. If you have a question for me, feel free to leave it in the comment section below the video. And please click subscribe and the notification bell so that you'll never miss any of our language lessons.